Okay. Thank you all. We have our September 2nd, 2021 special meeting for the Montecito Sanitary District. So we're going to go ahead and call the order, which I will make a statement. While the MSD board is in session, all board members must preserve order, decency, and decorum at all times and be respectful of others that are speaking. Okay, let's go ahead and take roll call. Betsy?
Yes, Director Johnson,
Here.
Director Barrett,
Here.
Director Newquist,
Here.
Director Eversole,
Here.
Director Fuller.
Here.
All board members present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we have the public comment, and would any of the public like to make a public comment? And it's limited to 3 minutes, and we'll decide. And if you like, go ahead and raise your hands, please. And Betsy will let me know who's would like to speak.
There are 3 members of the public. Members of the public, if you wish to speak on an item not on today's agenda, please use the raise hand function in Zoom, at which time we'll call on you. Board President Johnson, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you so much. So I will make a quick announcement on just something that's not on the agenda. And it's because we do have a time reference on this. Thank you all for appointing me to the JPIA Directors Board of Directors. Also, too, I have recommended Gary Fuller to be an alternate of the JPIA alternate, and he will be able to attend all meetings of the governing board. So I think we should probably, do we need to take a vote on that? You probably should. I mean, I'm the one that actually.
So Director Johnson, hi, it's Mark. That's not on the agenda, so that's not something we can take a vote on. The fact that you made that announcement is fine, but that's not something you can take action on because it's not on the agenda.
Okay, because even though, because we do have a deadline on that, so we might be able to do, I think that each member should also appoint. So I guess I'm the one that could appoint Gary Fuller as my alternate. That's what it states. So we might not need a vote.
Right, yeah, I think what I would do if I were you, I'd appoint yourself as the lead and Gary as the backup. And if we need to ratify that decision, we can ratify it at the next meeting.
Well, the appointment was voted on by the board of directors that I would be the person, the main member of authority for this governing board. And then also that I would be able to go ahead and select and appoint the person that is alternate, which I have is Gary Fuller. So that being said, as executive order, I have appointed Gary Fuller. So that would be that. So also too, that's not on the agenda, but I think it's something that we should discuss or at least bring up. I did get a call from our interim general manager and 2 copies of invoices, and one was for 6,000, one was for about 8,000, I believe, or 7,000. And usually I don't really get into this, but I feel it's urgent that we discuss this just because, and maybe Betsy, you could put those 2 invoices up.
So Director Johnson, hi, it's me again. That's not on the agenda either. So the way the Brown Act works is if you want to talk about something and take action on something, it needs to be on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm not taking action on that. I'm making
or discuss it. So if it's something that you need to discuss or need to take action on, you're supposed to have it on the agenda. And I don't see a spot on this agenda for invoices or other things. So this is
okay. It's something that has to be put onto the agenda then, and we will look at that once we get into the items for the next agenda. But it's something that I think is important that we take a look at as soon as possible, because it is something that that we need to discuss and make a decision.
Can you send it out by email so we're ready to look at it next time?
Yeah, I think that we will. Betsy, I think we could go ahead. I think that we can't make a decision or request that until probably during our next for our next agenda, we could request that, Gary. So thank you. So we're going to go ahead and we do on our old business, which is this Highway 101 sewer main relocation project, which does include the Miramar lift station. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I think it was recommended that the board consider the potential termination of the existing contract with Flowers and Associates and authorize the general manager to negotiate a contract with another engineering consultant firm to bring back to the board for final approval. And this was due to conflict of interest that obviously our general manager, I think that he's not here on our meeting, but we did receive 8 pages for our legal counsel that the general manager had potentially had conflict of interest. So I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and bring it to the board for discussion or recommendation or consideration. So would anyone like on the board to have any comments or questions? And we did receive a staff report. I believe you received it. I don't know if you received it. I think you received it in an email, and then Rico later this morning delivered probably to every one of you the 31-page staff report. Okay, so I received it, I think around, oh gosh, I don't know, 10:30 or 11, can't recall. Maybe, no, a little early, 10 o'clock. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Director Barrett, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As legal counsel informed us, I believe in the last meeting, we have 2 choices with this. One is to isolate the general manager from any discussion or decisions within this project and keep Flowers on contract as they are now. Or 2, terminate this contract and either put it out for bid or look at the other 2 bidders that bid on the project. So I think those are our only 2 choices: isolate the GM or do a new contract.
Correct. That is true. And I think there was like 2 other engineer firms, and I believe in your packet, one was Stantec and one is MNS Engineering, both local firms. And I believe, I think that in the staff report is recommending the MNS. And I think that, I don't know if all of us have been able to read the 31 pages. So please go ahead and let me know if you have any comments. Yeah,
Director Johnson?
Yeah, go ahead, Director Fuller, please.
Thank you.
I'd like to make,
Me or Dana?
Okay. I'm sorry, Dana, did you raise your hand first, or I just saw both hands at the same time? So I'm sorry.
Well,
Go ahead.
either
If
one.
if Dana would like
whoever
to go ahead,
call.
it's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead, Dana. It's fine.
Well, as directors, we're supposed to, first of all, protect our public in any way we can, especially fiscally and legally. And the way I look at this, this is a very important project. It's going to be costly. And I don't think there's any way you can isolate our general manager successfully from this project. So it appears, even though work has been done by Flowers, and so most of that money that has been spent for their work, if we change to another engineering firm, will be lost, because legally a new engineering firm is going to look at their numbers, their surveys and so forth before they go forward. So they start over again. So it's a darn if you do and damned if you don't. But I really do think that maybe in the long run, it could be to our benefit to cancel this contract and go to another firm.
Thank you, Director Newquist. Okay, so go ahead, Director Fuller. I see your hand raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if there's a misunderstanding here or not, but this comment was made at the last meeting that work would have to be doubled. And that is simply not the case. These are engineers. They have certifications and education. One engineering firm can rely on the numbers presented by another. And that was spelled out in the report and another email. Which the report, I mean, pretty detailed. I'm pretty impressed. The staff put a lot of work into that. That was really something. I didn't read it as thoroughly as I should have, but I was definitely impressed. But my personal opinion is based on what I'm reading there, this is a great point to change horses, so to speak. I agree with Dana 100%. We are such a small organization. We cannot properly shield Brad by hiring someone like Tony Wong for an individual, consultant. I think it's just we're too stall. So I'm fully thinking that we need to go with the not Stantec, the H&M, the one that the board, M&S, that and also when we originally started this, we weren't apparently anticipating problems with the Miramar easement situation. So there's already, the scope has already changed from what it was when Flowers started. We're looking at 3 separate alignments now, where originally that was not in the picture. So I don't think we're really going to lose anything by moving to another firm. We're definitely going to gain protection legally. And we're also going to protect Brad from being accused of anything as well. So I'm all on with let's go ahead and change to M&S. Sorry, bad memory, but
M&S.
M&S. Yeah, I'm fully on board with that. Thank you very much,
Director Fuller. So do I see any other raised hands? Because I will be making a comment as well. So go ahead, Director Barrett, but please hold off and make any motions till all of us make comments. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Betsy, could you pull up the minutes from the May 27th board meeting, please?
Yes, it'll just take me a minute to get them. One moment.
Because I believe that board meeting, the 3 bids were in those minutes from M&S, Stantec, and Flowers, I believe. While she's pulling that up, Madam Chair, one of the things that we noticed, or you might have noticed if you read through these pages or briefed them, I just briefed them, but the $177,000 Flowers contract was going to be increased by $15,000 or more to look at these other 2 options for the Miramar lift station hookup. So I don't know if that means that we need to put this back out for bid, or we go with the offers that were made back in May, because like Director Fuller said, the scope of this thing has changed. So when Betsy pulls that up, if M&S's bid was $215,000, is it going to be $280,000 to look at these other 2 options? I mean, we don't know how much it's going to increase.
Yeah, we don't have that information yet.
Right. So I think we kind of need to get a handle on it. And Betsy pulled up on page 3 of our packet today. Well, actually, it's page 4 of 31. The last sentence of that paragraph at the top there, it says the survey, geotechnical report, and technical flow memo prepared by Flowers and Associates is owned by the district. The work will not be lost and will be used will be useful to MNS engineers. I don't know how much of that 45, well, actually it's 45,987. So let's just call it $46,000 that Flowers has done so far. I don't know how much of that are those pieces, but I agree with Director Newquist. MNS or whomever it is going to have to do some homework to get up to, up to speed on this project. So there will be a charge for that. I mean, in our industry, when you change something in the middle of the stream, prices seem to increase extremely fast, sometimes by 50%, because of the urgency to get them done. I don't know about this project and these engineering firms. So does that have the numbers there, Betsy?
Director Barrett, the minutes don't actually reflect the numbers. They reflect only the action taken by the board and not the contract amount. And also because it's an engineering firm for design services and we're not required to go only on price, only the ranking was included in the staff report, not the totals. However, I think that if and when the board is ready,
I'd like to see the totals, the 3 bids. We got to have 3 bids somewhere, right? Didn't they submit something to the district when you go over 100 grand?
Let me clarify that. So,
sorry, if I can finish,
Director,
please, really quickly. It's called a qualifications only, and it's a ranking that was done by interim general manager Tony Wong. I've put that on the screen on which the original decision was based, and related to the costs, Director Barrett, to help answer your question. There's a description, and I think the engineering manager Poitras would be able to describe the nature of the negotiations we went through that I think took like 5 weeks with Flowers, and we'll have to do something similar with M&S. And that is why the second recommended action is to allow the general manager to negotiate a new contract. So I just wanted to let you know there's additional information that she might be able to assist with.
I understand
thank
we
you.
had the rating system. I'm looking for the 3 numbers. Was Stantec 215,000, M&S 240,000? Don't we have numbers that these guys bid?
I think, okay.
Is it in the previous meeting prior to this one? Because I remember seeing some numbers somewhere.
I think there may have been. So, okay. So thank you, Director Barrett. Thank you, Betsy. Before I ask Carrie to speak, I just want some clarification. I agree that unfortunately this happened, the conflict of interest. I think, unfortunately, the situation has caused this for our board to come back to make some really critical decisions on which direction. I think, again, it's the best is to choose another engineer firm. I am okay with that. I think, though, that Caltrans does have a process, and in order to be a fair process and to be able to get assistance from Caltrans in the future, if we ever want to get reimbursements, I think we should follow the process. So again, I've worked with Caltrans before. Other people have worked with Caltrans before, most engineers. So I think this was based on a ranking system. And again, you could see that what Betsy had put up, the Flower and Associates, Stantec, and also MNS. So Stantec unfortunately had declined, but based on the process, if we don't go with Stantec, I would like to see a written letter stating that they declined based on the negotiation, because each one was supposed to be negotiated or will be negotiated. So are they declining based on negotiation? We like to get a letter reflecting that based on the Caltrans process. So this is what I've always done on other contracts with Caltrans. So also, if we negotiate with MNS, or not the staff or the general manager, sorry, then we need a really understand the scope of the project for the board to approve. We need to make sure that there's a baseline, the additional costs, what the difference are versus flour, and why there, and then additional costs on the options, because there will be hopefully 3 options. I think they're originally looking at 1, but now there has to be options. And I think to save time, next time on any contracts, you've got to ask for alternatives. I mean, I think I've done contracts before where they've always included alternatives. And again, I don't know the situation on this particular, it was based on a ranking system. So I think one other, no, I'll add this later, a little bit later, but I do agree that we should look at, or they should look at another engineer firm just based on the conflict of interest. Okay. So that's my 2 cents at this time. And I think that there's quite a few pages to digest, but maybe Carrie could help us with that. So Carrie, go ahead, please.
So I'd like to clarify a few things. So yes, we received proposals back in April from Flowers and Associates, Stantec Consulting, and M&S based on the original RFP. Those were ranked by the interim general manager, Tony Wong, in the ranking that's shown on the screen. We only negotiate with the top ranked firm. So we only had final official numbers from Flowers and Associates, and that's what the contract that we awarded was based on. We spent about 4 different rounds going back and forth to negotiate the scope of work to make sure that both Flowers and Associates and the district felt comfortable with the amount of work and the schedule and the cost. So that's how we came up to the contract amount for $177,806. It was Tony Wong's discretion to not have any extra services included within that contract, which is why that was not added as part of the authorization by the board to have any extra services. That was his choice. So what we're asking for today is to allow that you would terminate the contract with Flowers, and then to allow the interim, or not the interim, the permanent general manager, Brad Rare, to negotiate the contract. We did receive a proposal from M&S yesterday, but we have comments on their scope of work and their fee. So we need a little bit of time to have them review our comments and make some adjustments so we can adjust the amount of work. We want to clarify that the work that Flowers has already done, in particular the survey, the geotechnical borings, and the geotechnical report will be passed along to M&S, and M&S can use that information as Betsy had highlighted earlier. So what we're looking for today is that authorization from the board to allow for that negotiation with M&S to happen, so that we can come back at the next meeting to award the contract, to be able to stay on schedule.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that, and your hard work to put this packet together so quickly. Clarification, and I want to make sure that everyone knows that we had hired interim general manager back in March, and we had no other offers to have this. So we were lucky to even get Kimberly Horn at that time. And other people have declined to be the interim general manager. So again, it was based on a ranking system, as you all know and heard, and it wasn't just based on Tony. It was based also on staff, the engineer, and also Tony. So is someone else phone in on or something?
Sorry about that, Director Johnson. I believe the noise was coming from Director Newquist's phone, so I unmuted him. Director Newquist, if you
Okay,
wish to participate,
no
please use
problem.
unmute.
No problem. So what might help this process moving forward? And again, you know, it wasn't Tony Wong that had the conflict of interest. So again, we're in a situation because of the conflict of interest. So we need to move forward and to try to get this resolved. So one of the options that I have that I'd like to see is I like to appoint, and I would appoint, we have an ad hoc committee. And because Woody seems to have some knowledge based on all this different things on this lift station and some engineering calculations, understanding that, and myself, that I would be forming this ad hoc to help this process. So again, I don't know if we can make decisions. I think we could go ahead and say that we are going to look at another engineer firm, possibly the MNS. I think we could look at that. I don't think we have any other options. I don't know if we have time to do another bid. This was brought to our attention in August 10th or 12th, our last meeting. And we're already into September 2nd. So again, I think time is really important. But again, would someone like to make a motion on the ad hoc? I could go ahead and make a motion if someone would like to second that I would be appointing, making a ad hoc. Okay. Would someone like to make a second on what I have a motion and that I made a motion for ad hoc? Would someone like to make a second? Don, you haven't spoken. Can you have any?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, well, would you like to make any other comments? No? Okay,
No.
thank you. Okay, thank you, Don. Director Fuller, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to make a comment. It's clearly stated in the 32 pages that we do not have a lot of time here. We need to stay on schedule, which means we need to make a decision today. And I'm not quite sure. I mean, I know I would really like to hear from Woody if he feels comfortable going ahead and asking the general manager, Brad, to go ahead and negotiate this with M&S, or is there something about that he's really concerned about? Because I really think that's the way we need to go. Another committee is more time
It's not a committee.
and further behind
Director,
schedule.
Director Fuller, I appreciate your comments, but it's not a committee, it's an ad hoc. Then also too, I did talk to legal counsel, and we do have 2 meetings and we don't have the totals, and he has to come back for our board. You have to understand, our board has the final approval because it's over $15,000. I mean, we don't know. We already have $177,000 approved, but we don't have what the difference is from M&S. So that's the kind of the question, why we can't really go ahead and approve that. We could go ahead and they could start the negotiation. I would think that would be something that we could look at, but again, we will have it ad hoc, and I don't think we could just go ahead and approve a contract today. We don't have a lot of the facts. We don't have a lot of the costs. We have to protect our ratepayers. We've never done a contract without knowing the totals and the scope of work. We should have a baseline. Like I said, we should have, there's a lot of other things. I mean, what is the difference of the alternatives and things like that? So that's what I'm concerned. I'm not saying not to move forward. I'm just saying that we need more information. And I think even Carrie is trying to get that information for us. Okay, so I think we're on the.
I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we allow.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Fuller, I would just go ahead for a second. We go ahead. We did have, I didn't finish the ad hoc before I got.
My apologies.
Yeah, so I want to finish the ad hoc. We have a motion and we have a second. Let's go ahead, Betsy. If we need to go ahead, let's go ahead and take roll call on that, please.
Director Johnson, just to clarify, was the motion to appoint an ad hoc committee consisting of directors Barrett and Johnson?
Correct.
And what is the purpose and duration of the ad hoc committee?
It was a duration to make sure that we are making sure that we have the baseline and the prices for the M&S, what we have before it comes back to the board. We just want to make sure that we are getting the right scope of the project and everything like that. We just want to make sure that things are done if there's any other further questions and things like that. So I had talked to legal counsel and it was legal to do. Okay, so let's go ahead
And
and
who seconded the motion?
Don, Director Eversole.
Okay, thank you.
I
So,
made the motion.
Please go ahead and take a roll call.
Director Barrett? Sorry, you're muted, Director Barrett.
Aye.
Eversole?
Aye.
Director Fuller?
Are we supposed to have comments on the motion before we vote?
I'm-
No?
I think that's a question for Mark. Mark, are we able to discuss prior to voting?
But I think there's been a lot of discussion on the motion. I don't know if you asked for any public comment on the motion. I don't remember hearing that. Did you, Director Johnson?
We could ask the public.
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
probably should do that before we vote.
Okay, no problem.
Members of the public, if you wish to make a comment to the board, please use the raised hand function in Zoom. I see no hands raised, Director Johnson.
So go ahead and continue what I requested.
Director Fuller, your vote on
No.
that? Director Nupas,
Aye.
Director Johnson,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. So I think, was there any other additional things that we have to discuss on this? I think we have. Go ahead, Director Fuller, please.
I would like to repeat my motion that the two can proceed simultaneously, but I move that we allow Brad to go ahead and start negotiating some prices with M&S. You're going to need prices. I think that's the topic of your committee, and he doesn't have those prices until he goes ahead and negotiates with them. So I move that we allow Brad to go ahead and start negotiating with M&S. Would anyone like to second that?
I think what we have to do is, has everyone read the 31 pages? I think Carrie has worked very hard on this. Pardon me?
Madam Chair,
Yes, please. Director Barrett.
like I said, I just briefed this, but it looks like all this is just the contract with Flowers. I don't see what the difficulty was in making a copy of a contract.
Okay.
There are 3 pages that are staff recommendations, actually about 2 pages in 1 paragraph. But I think the rest of it's just the Flowers contract, unless I'm misreading it. It has signatures by Tony Wong and other people. It's got engineering, insurance, exhibits, exhibit 1. So this is just the contract.
You're correct, Director Barrett. The packet only consists of the 3-page staff report and the Flowers contract.
Right. And Madam Chair, I guess my concern is, like Director Fuller said and Director Newquist said, this is a big project. We're estimating the work, maybe it includes this engineering analysis as well, but and study, but it's going to be in the 1.2 million to probably larger. I don't think we can get it done for that, but I'm not sure. I understand what Director Fuller wants to do is go ahead and start negotiating with M&S, but I don't know if we need to approach Stantec and see if they are still interested. And if they're not, then they can send us a letter saying they're not.
They've already sent a letter.
They sent a
They
letter?
have the letter? Okay, so we have not seen that letter, so it would be great if maybe Betsy could put up that letter, but it has to be a written letter declining our negotiations. So I think there's a difference of a letter, and that would
Back
be
in
what,
April.
yeah, Caltrans process would.
Betsy, would
actually-
you,
and even the
Betsy, would you
county-
go ahead and read that, please?
Yes, it's from Autumn Glazer, a project manager with Stantec, and it says, "Hi, Carrie. Thanks for reaching out. Stantec is not in a position to propose on this work at this time. We look forward to working with the district in the future." So we do have it in writing from Stantec that they are not proposing on this contract at this time.
But they
And that
didn't
was-
say they declined to negotiate, right? I mean, just because they were the second one on the ranking, and they did actually propose an interest way back in April. And actually this project was started I think sooner than that, as far as that was just their proposal. So I think that you got an email, but that's an email. That's not a letter. I'm asking for an actual letter.
Director Johnson, it's Mark. This is pretty clear. If you look at the email communication, that Stantec is not interested in being the engineer on this project. And I think this is sufficient evidence of that. By the way, we have no, what's that?
I said, thank you, legal counsel.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment here?
Yes, please.
You know, with respect to Director Fuller's motion, the way I look at it, I don't think the motion is necessary just by virtue of the fact that the general manager is the general manager, and he can be directed just as the business of the sanitation district to seek out details on costs from any engineering firm to bring back to the board or bring back to an ad hoc committee.
True. I think that M&S was one of the engineer firms that did meet the ranking system. I think it'd be nice if we do get some kind of price point or bid. How much is this going to cost? Because it's going to be quite involved. And I think when I talked to legal counsel, and I had to talk to legal counsel, was the fact is that, and Carrie was, because Brad can't be, I guess Brad can be part of this of the negotiation, which is good. But I think it's that they're trying to get the final price. And like she said, there was comments that they have to clear up. So maybe because of the comments that they have to clear up with M&S, they could bring that back on the 9th. And that is coming around the corner. And I'm glad that we actually had the special meeting, because this would have probably, if we had it on the 9th, it would have been back to the 23rd. So she's probably trying to get this. I mean, we have, unfortunately, this has happened. We're just trying to get this resolved. Okay.
So President Johnson, may I make another comment?
Yes, go ahead.
By virtue of the fact you've got an ad hoc committee already formed for doing this work, can you not direct your general manager in any way, shape, or form to get bids or costs or whatever, so that ad hoc committee can complete their work or go to Engineer Poitras or any of the staff for information?
Thank you, Dana. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Fuller, and thank you, Director Newquist. That's a good point. Okay, Director Barrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just briefly, in the 2 pages that staff prepared for the meeting here, if you'll notice, the RFP was issued on March 12th. They received 3 proposals on April 2nd. That's 2 weeks. I don't know if it's a good idea to go with the 3rd ranked engineering firm if we're going on ranking here. Maybe we need to reissue as of tomorrow an RFP. By the time we meet next week, we'll be 1 week into getting proposals the week thereafter. And we just, it'll be up to Brad to pick 3 engineering firms. And they don't have to be local. I mean, all this stuff's done with computers and by Zoom anyway. So we'll have our people with our district, in the field here. If someone wants to send a representative or an engineer to do inspection, that's one thing. But, I don't see a need that the firm needs to be in Santa Barbara for this. But my recommendation would be to put it out for RFP again and get 3 more proposals.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay,
great.
so am I hearing a motion on that? Director Barrett?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I just thought it'd be up for discussion to the board. I don't want to make a motion and step on
Okay.
someone's feet if they had another motion they wanted to make.
All right. No, I think it should, okay. So let's go ahead. Betsy, please hold on. I will get to you. Was there any other board member that has a comment or questions regarding what was just said? Okay, and I think also Director Eversole made a.
I did.
Thank you, Director Eversole. Okay, so this brings it back really to the ad hoc, I believe. So there is discussion now to have a request for proposal to advertise it, I believe, or just to go out to 3 engineers. You would have to go out to advertise. There is a process to advertise. I think that's what Betsy would probably state as well. And again, maybe we could have, should have done this, or they could have done that back in August when they knew that this was going to be a conflict of interest. I don't know. So again, M&S is a good engineer firm. They are the ones that are working presently on the 101. I just want to make sure that they're the ones that will be able to work with our district and understand that we want the alternatives, the best solution for the situation, and also be flexible too, to a certain extent, just because if there's certain things that we are requesting, or even the stakeholder like the Miramar is requesting, because we want to be good neighbors. We want to be good neighbors to the Miramar, not just about the 101, pipes. We are talking about a lift station that has had a lot of questions, I believe, by Director Barrett and several other directors. So again, these are really concerns if M&S is going to be able to answer those questions and help us. And they'd be able to work with the Miramar. I think that's a really important issue here, because the lift station is a big factor of this too. It's not just the 101 relocating of the sewer lines. So it's something that was proposed. I don't know if there's other alternatives, or even because they might have future plans, what they might want to do, I don't know. But again, it's something that we have to work with the stakeholders, or whatever you want to call them, but it is the Miramar. They did pay over $6 million for that lift station, and we're going to be impacting their driveway. But they're parking, they just opened up again after the pandemic. So this is part of this whole thing. So there's really concerns that, our ad hoc needs to really help address. So again, I think that our general manager could help us definitely to get to that point. And I think he has the obligation now to look into this further, and I'm okay with that, to have him help us and the staff to make sure that this is done right for both, for everyone. Our board, it has a direction of looking at the contract to making sure that it's going to be right for what we want. So again, we have an ad hoc. I think that if the general manager, if he's willing to look at other engineers, I think that is something that we could help direct general manager.
I'm sorry, Director Johnson, could I make a comment? I'm sorry.
And I just think that we need to look at this carefully. There's, like you said, what I'm hearing from everyone, that this is a major project. And unfortunately, we never got any funding for this. And I really feel strongly that we have to follow the Caltrans process. I just think that we keeps getting into situations that we have to kind of keep cleaning up. So that's what I'm trying to avoid down the road, where we need to make sure that things are done right at the beginning. I don't want to keep getting into situations that we have to keep coming back for special meetings and all this to clean all this up. It's not something that is really something I want to be doing. Okay. I think
Director Johnson?
for recycling. Okay. Yes, of course. Director Fuller.
I'm sorry, but the whole purpose of this meeting was to cancel the contract, right? So can I make a motion that we cancel the Flowers contract? We vote to terminate. Can I get a second on that? We need to do that today, right?
I think it's to consider the potential termination. I know based on the staff, it was said to definitely terminate. So again, I would have to get a motion and a second. So it's something
I'll
that,
make that motion, please.
and
Would anyone
Is-
like to second that?
I think we do have a raised hand before. Go ahead, Director Barrett, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been thinking about this, Director Fuller. I thought about that too. First, it's actually two-phase. First, terminate the Flowers contract. Two, do an RFP or start negotiations with M&S. But here's the deal. If we go to an RFP, because it's already been prepared, it was put out April the 2nd. So that's just going to be push a button, go again. That could be done tomorrow. Could be done later
scope
today.
though.
But if we do that and we don't get any proposals back, we better keep the Flowers contract. We're going to have to get a trailer and put Brad in it and isolate him. I mean, that's going to be our only choice.
In the meantime, just to kind of let everyone know that based on the conflict of interest, it was brought to my attention to have Flower to hold off. They have continued to work, which has not really caused a problem. They continue to work on this project, just to let you know. I mean, to this date, because I know that when I had talked to Carrie, I had actually said, do you have to stop Flowers and Associates working while we're trying to deal with this conflict of interest? And she said, no. She said they're going to go ahead and still have Flower and Associates work. So Flowers and Associates have been still working on this particular project, and they've been able to isolate Brad during that time. So, and basically Brad has not gone to any meetings. He has not voted on any financial interest based on things that I've seen at the county, which is, like MBAR, architects do just recuse himself and step down. So again, Flowers and Associates have continued to work on this project and continue talking to staff. So they have isolated Brad, and I've talked to Brad about this as well. And he has been really good about staying clear of the Flowers and Associates so far. So that's just my conversation. So again, I hear all of you, and unfortunate we are in a situation. I think that I'd like to this come back on the 9th for final, hopefully you'll get some final, bids and direction, and we have the ad hoc. So maybe the ad hoc, as Woody and myself, could help move this even further to where we could feel comfortable on the 9th to make a final decision. I like to see us do that on the 9th, by the 9th, or on the 9th. So is there any further discussion? And again, appreciate all the board looking into this from the public. Betsy, I do not see any raised hands. Do you?
Members of the public, if you'd like to comment, please utilize the raise hand function in Zoom or unmute yourself and request to speak. You can turn your video on at such time and be called on by the board president. I don't.
Thank you, Betsy. I don't see any raised hands, but I do see a raised hand by Director Barrett.
All right, Madam Chair, thank you. To stay on line with the agenda today, staff has recommended terminating the flowers contract and have the general manager begin negotiations with MNS. Are we going to try to decide on those two issues today? Are we postponing this again until next week?
I think on my agenda, it says to consider the potential termination of existing contract. I know that on the report of staff, they recommended to terminate. So it is up to our board what we want to do. And I think that Director Fuller, I believe, had a motion, but there was no second. So we do have an ad hoc, and I think we have to probably, our ad hoc has to meet with our director, general manager, and also Carrie, our staff, and see how we could move forward with this, okay? Because there is something, but I think you might have made a good point that if we do go, depending on the cost or the final cost of this work from possible MNS, we don't know. We don't know. I mean, it's kind of say, well, MNS, you basically have the contract, so what's your fee? So again, maybe we should terminate that after we get, so we could compare what we have, the scope of work and the baseline and everything else from MNS. And again, that's something in the ad hoc that we need to do. Okay.
Director Johnson, can I make a comment, please?
Of course. Thank you, Mark.
I don't recommend this approach. And the reason I say that is because it presents an opportunity for people to suggest that maybe now that the general manager is going to be involved prior to making the decision to terminate the contract with Flowers and Associates, that somehow he affected the outcome in a way that could possibly affect his financial interests. So what I'm suggesting is, I think the first thing the board needs to do is make a decision on whether, based upon the existence of a conflict of interest with the general manager, you're going to terminate the contract with Flowers and Associates. Either you have the ability to not and proceed with Flowers and isolate the general manager. That's one option. If you're not going to do that because you don't think it's appropriate, you don't think it's feasible, then I think you need to make the decision today to terminate the contract with Flowers and Associates. And then at that point, your general manager has freedom of action. Okay, Flowers and Associates is gone. They no longer present a conflict of interest for him, and he can fully participate with the ad hoc committee on either negotiating with MNS or alternatively sending out a new RFP. And then ultimately that contract will be presented to the entire board. I don't recommend not making that decision today and then asking the general manager to participate. That's putting him in jeopardy, and it's not the appropriate thing to do.
But he's been working, okay, but he's been isolated. Flowers and Associates had been working on this since we have been noted of the conflict of interest, right? Flowers and Associates, I don't think they stopped the contract, their work.
You're missing my point, right? Once Brad was informed of the conflict of interest, about that time, he ceased any involvement on this project.
No, that's correct. That's correct.
Now what you're suggesting is that he will participate with the ad hoc committee in helping to come up with an alternative engineering firm, either MNS or sending it out for RFP. And you're doing that prior to making a decision on the termination of the Flowers contract. Brad could be, there could be allegations that somehow he's affecting the decision to keep the contract with Flowers and Associates. Do you get my point? So in other words, I don't think Brad should participate in this process unless Flowers is out. And that's what's on the agenda today, is for consideration to terminate the contract with Flowers. You'd be done with Flowers and Associates. You could get Brad to fully participate in the next step with the ad hoc committee on either negotiating with MNS or alternatively going out for new RFP and soliciting proposals from other engineering firms, including MNS.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear. There was a motion and a second based on considering the termination of Flowers Associate. I did not get a second. So
I'll second that motion, Madam
okay,
Chair.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Director Barrett. So, okay. So that takes care of that. Thank you so much. And I think we can move on with what has been proposed, and then we would meet, ad hoc would be meeting the general manager to see how we could resolve this. Okay, go ahead, Director Barrett, with one more thing. So we go ahead and
We need a
We've
vote.
got a motion by Director Fuller, a second by myself. We need to take it to the public, back to the
Yes.
board and then vote on it, I think,
exactly,
Madam Chair. Yeah,
exactly. No, I know that. So
okay.
let's go ahead and bring it back to, is there any comments from the public?
Members of the public, please use the raise hand function in Zoom or turn on your video and unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Madam President, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. So let's go ahead and take roll call. Go ahead and read the motion. Betsy?
The motion by Director Fuller is to terminate the Flowers contract.
And it was second by,
Second by
Director-
Director Barrett. Thank you.
and let's go ahead and take roll call.
Director Barrett,
Aye.
Director Eversol,
Aye.
Director Fuller,
Aye.
Director Newquist,
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification to do all this. And hopefully we will get through this. Unfortunately, this has all happened and all of us are trying to figure this out. Okay. So it's not easy as it looks. Okay. So Director Barrett, again, I see a finger raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion for staff to issue as quickly as possible an RFP for this work and receive
I'll-
proposals.
I'll second that.
I agree.
So we do have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead, and if there's any comments, other comments from the board.
Madam President,
And-
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let me finish. Thank you, Betsy, please. It says it's already been hard enough. Okay, so let's go ahead. We have any public raise your hands, Betsy?
I believe Engineering Manager Poitras has her hand raised.
Okay, she's not the public though. So anyway, we'll call on Ms. Poitras.
Thank you, Director Johnson. I would just like to make a note to the board and to anybody on the meeting that I'm a little concerned about the timeline of the schedule by going through this potential RFP process and this ad hoc committee process. And I just wanted to note that for the record.
Thank you. So let's go ahead. We have I seem like we have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead, and there's any other comments from our board? If not, okay, Director Barrett, please.
I just wanted to clarify, thank you, Madam Chair, just clarify with staff that this will be for all three routes that are currently proposed. So that's the scope of work as I understand it, not just the one route that's direct to the lift station and across 101. Is that correct? When they do this RFP, they're going to have to adjust the RFP to include these other two routes, I think.
Yes, that is correct, Director Barrett.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So let's go ahead. I don't see any raised hands from the public. Let's go ahead and take, we have a motion and a second. Betsy, go ahead and read the motion in a second, please.
The motion is to direct staff to issue an RFP as quickly as possible for this project. Correct? And motion by Director Barrett, seconded by, I believe, Director Eversole. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
let's go ahead and take roll call.
Director Barrett,
Aye.
Director Eversole,
Aye.
Director Fuller,
Aye.
Director Newquist,
Aye.
Director Johnson.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you all. Okay, so we think we resolved that portion of the project. So we could go ahead and move in. Our ad hoc will be meeting as soon as possible. So again, we're going to go into, there's no new business. And the items for the next agenda will be on the 9th. And I don't have that up right now. Maybe Betsy could help me pull that up. It was a preliminary. Or we could bring Brad back in to discuss further.
I believe the items on the 9th include the Highway 101 sewer main relocation project, Highway 192 sewer manhole adjustments, renewing a purchase order for manhole, smart cover manhole monitors, and discussing existing committee assignments.
Okay. And then also too, we could add to that on these invoices from Tony Wong. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, go
I'd like to
ahead.
add to the next agenda, if there's time for it, to discuss the $8,400 connection fee. And also staff want to revisit the termination of the $2,000 rebate program, since we had 3 letters from potential ratepayers for that.
Okay,
Or
Okay, we will-
ratepayers, I'm sorry, they're putting in new lines. So if we could visit those 2
okay,
items next week, that would be wonderful.
Director
Okay.
Barrett, at the end of the last meeting, it was discussed that the connection fee would be discussed at the next, I believe, at the October Finance Committee meeting. Do you want to move it off finance and to the meeting next week?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
so we will have that, and then Brad and I will review all the items on there and see how that timing is, and then we do have 2 meetings in September. Okay. Was there any other further discussion or any other suggestions?
Madam President, General Manager Rare is actually just joining the meeting. Would you like me to double check the items for the next agenda with him?
Yeah, please. I mean, I think we did talk about it. Go ahead.
Brad,
think-
thank you for joining the meeting. We just wanted to confirm that the items for the agenda of September 9th. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
I had listed the Highway 101 sewer main relocation project, Highway 192 sewer manhole adjustments, renewing a purchase order for smart cover manhole monitors, and discussing board committee assignments. And then the directors added 3 items. Did I miss anything that's currently scheduled for the next meeting?
Nope, that is correct. That's what we have on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And the items that you missed that were added are discussing the 2 most recent Kimley Horn invoices, moving the $8,400 connection fee topic off of the Finance Committee and to the meeting of September 9th, and discussing the sewer lateral rebate program that was recently discontinued.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Was there any other further discussion? If not, we could go ahead and does someone like to make a motion to adjourn? And we are,
Make a motion to adjourn.
all right,
second.
3:30,
Aye.
3:35.
I
Okay,
second.
beautiful.
All right.
Good job, guys.
Right. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
You have the same.
Bye.
All right.